Did you guys know that if the carbon markets were actually very effective, like if they were working perfectly right now, we wouldn't be worried so much about the greenwashing? I'm saying this because we're familiar with the part of real world assets that revolves around the treasuries, the bonds, the private credits, yeah, but it actually goes way beyond that. Way beyond that. And this part I think is mostly neglected or maybe not talked about enough, the environmental assets. And I think that it's very misunderstood. I'm going to tell you why I said that. The carbon markets were actually designed, or rather created, to fight the climate changes, in the sense that one credit equals 1 ton of carbon that is either reduced or removed. Did you see how clean that sounded? But the market is actually very messy. The system around it is very messy and very slow as well. The record sits at very private databases. The buyers worry about greenwashing a lot, and most of the time the credits get counted twice. And I think we all know right now that the problem is the infrastructure. Now, this is where tokenization comes into the picture. When a carbon credit is tokenized, nothing special happens. It's just a tokenized asset on chain that is just being tokenized, right? And the only thing that actually changes is how it's being tracked, right? So right here you get to know when it's issued, who's using it, who owns it, and all of that, and when it's being put into use, and after that it's permanently retired. Now add AI into this picture. AI is a tool that helps in tracking the weather, checking the forest health, and analyzing the whole satellite images, right? These things are just things that would not come so easy for humans. It's going to take months for humans to do it, right? So now you add AI and blockchain together. It's no longer trust-based, it becomes proof-based, and this changes who can participate. In this case, the small climate projects can access the global buyers. Individuals can buy the small, tiny frictions instead of the huge bundles. Companies can prove impact instead of just making promises, mere promises. Platforms like the carbon mark, they are very interesting here because they help the complexity. So in this case, you don't need to understand what the wallets and the chains are all about. You just need to buy the verified carbon, and the system handles every other thing for you. But you know that this isn't without upside. Tokenizing environmental assets are still very risky, very much, because right here regulation is still catching up. The whole standards are still not aligned, and right here, if quality control slips, bad credits can creep up into the system, and that means a whole lot. You know what that means? Tokenization, as we all know, doesn't fix bad ideas. It only makes good data visible, and that is why the distinction matters very much. Now take a look at the big picture. Climate change is a capital allocation problem. Right here, money wants transparency, the institutions want auditability, and the regulators want traceability. The environmental assets, they compound trust very well, and that is why it is proof-based. And whether the people like it or not, I think that this is the system where capital should actually move into. It sounds sane, although it's crazy. It's very, very wild, but just saying. Although this is still very early, still very imperfect, still evolving, I think it should be talked about as much as every other one, because this is the only real world assets. I think this is the only real world asset sector where the finance, the climate, and the infrastructure collide. And I think you should do your own research as well. Just you need to stay ahead because it's still very early. Like I said, have a good one.